Welcome to Breaking Bulletin. We're your go-to source for local and international news, compelling stories, and documentaries that uncover the truth. If you're passionate about staying informed, please hit that like button, share this video with your friends, drop a comment below, and subscribe to Breaking Bulletin for more updates. Today, we're diving into a brewing storm between the US and Canada, specifically Quebec. The U.S. government has just labeled Quebec's Bill 96, a law to protect the French language, as a foreign trade barrier. It's a clash of culture, commerce, and power, and we're unpacking it all: how it started, what's at stake, and why it's got everyone from Quebec's premier to opposition leaders fired up. Let's jump in. Imagine you're a U.S. business shipping goods to Canada, say, a snack company with a catchy English slogan on your packaging. You've been selling north of the border for years, no problem. But come June 1st, 2025, a new Quebec law kicks in, Bill 96. Suddenly, your labels need French translations for any generic terms, like crispy or chips, or you're out of compliance. Fines loom, retailers hesitate, and your product might vanish from Quebec shelves. That's the scenario the U.S. government's worried about. In late March 2025, the Office of the United States Trade Representative USTR dropped its 2025 National Trade Estimate report on foreign trade barriers, a nearly 400-page rundown of what they see as unfair hurdles for U.S. exports. Under Canada's section, they've zeroed in on Quebec's Bill 96, calling it a technical barrier to trade. It's not just a bureaucratic jab, it has a signal that could shake up North American trade, and it's got Quebec digging in its heels. So, what's Bill 96? Officially titled An Act Respecting French, the official and common language of Quebec, it's a 2022 law that turbocharges the province's French-first policies. Quebec's been the heart of French Canada since the 1600s, and this bill, sponsored by Justice Minister Simon Jolin Barrette, aims to keep it that way. It's massive, touching everything from healthcare to schools to business. It caps English language CEGEP enrollment, limits English in courts, and demands French signage and services for newcomers. For businesses, the kicker's the trademark rule. Starting June 1st, 2025, any non-French generic term or product description on packaging, like soft for drinks or battery for gadgets, must be translated into French, even on federally registered trademarks. The USTR's report says U.S. firms are sweating this, reviewing labels, facing costs, and risking market access. They call it unnecessarily trade restrictive, a standard that could clash with free trade deals like the USMCA. This isn't a new fight, it's centuries in the making. Quebec's French roots trace to 1534, when Jacques Cartier planted a cross for France on the Gaspé Peninsula. By 1608, Samuel de Champlain founded Quebec City, kicking off New France. But in 1763, the British won the 7 Years' War, snagging Canada via the Treaty of Paris. French speakers, about 70,000, then stayed, and the 1774 Quebec Act let them keep their language and Catholic faith. Still, tensions simmered. The 1837 to 1838 Patriot Rebellion saw French Canadians' push against British rule crushed, but not forgotten. By 1867, Confederation made Canada a dominion, with Quebec as a province. English dominated federally, but Quebec clung to French, a cultural lifeline in an Anglophone sea. Fast forward to the 20th century, language became a battleground. In 1969, the Official Languages Act made Canada bilingual, but Quebec wanted more. The 1970s Quiet Revolution, a cultural awakening, birthed Bill 101 in 1977 under Premier René Lévesque's Parti Québécois PQ. Known as the Charter of the French Language, it made French Quebec's sole official tongue, mandating it in schools, workplaces, and signs. English signs shrank, stop became a rat, and businesses adapted. Bill 101 faced pushback. 1988's Supreme Court ruling Ford v. Quebec struck down parts, but Quebec invoked the notwithstanding clause, a constitutional shield, to keep it alive. Bill 96 doubles down, tightening rules and flexing that clause again. It's not just law, it's identity, a stand against assimilation in a continent where English rules. The USTR's beef isn't vague. Their report, released March 31, 2025, flags Bill 96 as a technical barrier. Think regulations that sound neutral but choke trade. They note U.S. businesses fretting over trademarks post-June 2025. Picture a brand like Crispy Crunch. Crispy needs a French twin, say croustillant, or it's non-compliant. Fines hit hard, up to $90,000 daily for companies, $42,000 for individuals, third offense. The report says last June, U.S. officials raised this at the World Trade Organization's Technical Barriers to Trade Committee, urging Quebec to rethink it with business input. It's not a tariff, but a non-tariff barrier, subtle, yet stinging. Posts on X from April 1st like at Caris Laws echo this, warning of impacts on packaging and exports. Quebec's not budging. On April 1, 2025, Premier Francois Legault, on a trade mission in Germany, told the Canadian press, "It's non-negotiable." French-language Minister Jean-Francois Roberge at the National Assembly doubled down, "It's normal, responsible, and reasonable for the only francophone state in North America to defend French." He brushed off trade fears. Bill 96 as one of 300 issues in the USTR report, not a deal-breaker. Opposition parties rallied too. Quebec's Solidaires Rubog Azel said, "No negotiations on French talks against Quebec's interests won't happen." PQ leader Paul Pierre Plamondon sneered, "The U.S. wants us all American, all English, so their multinationals don't bother with French." Even Liberal leader Mark Tanguay, whose party opposed Bill 96, snapped, "It's none of Trump's business, don't go there. It's a rare united front in a province often split. History's littered with Quebec defiance." In 1995, a referendum to secede lost by a whisker, 49.42% yes, 50.58% no. Language laws sparked trade spats before 1980s. U.S. firms griped about Bill 101's signage rules, but adapted. Today's stakes are higher. The USMCA, signed 2020, binds Canada, the U.S., and Mexico. Article 19.6 bans unnecessary obstacles to digital trade, and Chapter 11 frowns on technical barriers. Bill 96's trademark twist could test that, though it's provincial, not federal, muddying enforcement. Trump's back in power since January 20, 2025, promising reciprocal tariffs, 25% on Canada, per April 2nd BNN Bloomberg. Quebec's $60 billion U.S. trade 2023 stats hangs in the balance: energy, aluminum, aerospace. A tariff war could hit hard, but Federation of Quebec Chambers of Commerce President Véronique Proulx, fresh from D.C. talks, told CTV on April 1st, "It's not a major issue yet." She sees it as leverage, not a crisis. What's Bill 96 really do? Past June 1st, 2022, it's a beast over 200 pages. It amends Bill 101, capping English CEGEP spots at 17.5% of students, forcing newcomers to use French services within 6 months, and letting inspectors raid businesses sans warrants. Courts must favor French unless English is necessary, a legal gray zone. Health. Doctors can't always use English, even with patients begging. Business. Small firms with 25 staff must Frenchify operations. Trademarks are the USTR's focus, but it's a web of rules. Quebec says it has survival French use dipped from 83% in 2001 to 79% in 2021. Statistics Canada. Critics, like English-speaking groups, cry rights violations lawsuits pile up, some begging Ottawa to step in. The U.S. angle's not new. In 2024, CBC reported USTR officials mulled sanctions over Bill 96, Section 301 of the 1974 Trade Act could justify it if deemed a trade violation. No conclusion then, but the 2025 report's a louder shot. Trump's tariff talk set for April 2nd, per Montreal Gazette adds heat. Canada's federal leaders fired back April 1st. Liberal Mark Carney, campaigning in Winnipeg, vowed French language and Quebec culture will never be on the table. Conservative Pierre Poilievre called it ridiculous. No foreign meddling in Canadian laws. Bloc Québécois Yves-François Blanchy accused Carney of siding with Trump, urging Quebecers to ditch him. Its election season April 28th looms, and Bill 96 is a vote magnet. Quebec's stance has echoes. In 1763, they kept French under British rule. In 1977, Bill 101 defied English Canada. Now, Robert flips Trump's English-only decree signed January 2025 back at him. If they can protect English, we can protect French. But risks lurk. U.S. firms might pull products INTAS. Jenny Simmons warned in 2024 of a 4-year trademark backlog in Canada, per CBC. Quebec consumers could lose options or pay more, a coalition told USTR. Still, Prowlux bets on energy ties Alberta's oil softens blows, and Quebec's hydro's gold. History says they'll adapt. 1980s firms learned French for Bill 101. 2025's no different. What's next? Lawsuits grind on a Quebec judge nixed Bill 96's court translation rule in 2024, but the rest stands. Trump's tariffs drop soon. Canada might counter or negotiate. Bill 96's June deadline nears. Businesses scramble. Your take? Trade or culture? Tell us below. That's Breaking Bulletin, your deep dive into this transborder tangle. Like, share, subscribe for more. Catch you next time.